Hello everyone, welcome back to another recall session. So today we're going to discuss with you about the physiology recall questions of AIIMS 2020 which is conducted in the May as well as INI-CET November 2020. So let us start discussing the questions. The first question is a 65-year-old patient visits his family practitioner for a yearly examination. On examination, his blood pressure was 190 by 100 millimeter of mercury. His pulse pressure was 90 millimeter of mercury. What would have decreased, resulting in this increase in pulse pressure? Something decrease resulting in increase in pulse pressure. So let us look at the options. The first one is myocardial contractility. No, this is not the answer. Stroke volume? No. Arterial wall compliance? This is the actual answer because at 65-year-old age, there may be decrease in arterial wall compliance and that will lead to increase in the pulse pressure. Cardiac output? No, in 65-year-old age, cardiac output will not increase. So the increase in pulse pressure is due to arterial wall compliance and the answer is C. Okay. The next question is which of the following cause represents gamma globin chain production? So let us discuss about gamma globin chain. Hemoglobin gamma chain are the chain which produce hemoglobin in the fetal period and it will become undetectable after 6 months of birth. Okay. So the curve which is showing the gamma globin chain production is actually this orange curve because this curve is showing that gamma globin chain production is there, but after 6 months production stops. So the answer here is D, orange curve. The next question is transcutaneous electric nerve stimulation is used to relieve pain. What is the mechanism behind this? Transcutaneous electric nerve stimulation actually acts on gate control theory to relieve pain. Okay. So the answer here is C, gate control theory. The next question is which of the following is not required for calculation of creatinine clearance? So let us look at the formula of creatinine clearance. So creatinine clearance is equal to urine concentration of creatinine into the volume of urine, that means 24-hour urine output upon plasma concentration of creatinine or serum creatinine. Okay. So urine creatinine that should be required in the calculation of creatinine clearance. Serum creatinine, yes, and 24-hour urine output, yes. Volume of serum passing through the kidney in 24 hours is not required, so the answer here is D. A neuron is receiving 400 inputs from 150 sensory neurons. This is an example of This is neuron, for example. This is 400 inputs, and this comes from 150 sensory neurons. So this is a classical example of convergence. So the answer here is B, convergence. The next question is calculate the extracellular fluid volume in a volunteer in whom 10 gram of mannitol was injected in venous blood. At equilibrium, urinary excretion of mannitol was found to be 10% and the plasma concentration of mannitol was 65 milligram per 100 milliliter. So they are asking about calculation of extracellular fluid volume. Is actually the amount injected of mannitol minus amount excreted of mannitol upon plasma concentration of mannitol. Okay, so amount injected of mannitol is 10 gram. Urinary excretion of mannitol is 10 percentage of the amount injected. That means it will become 1 gram. And the plasma concentration of mannitol is 65 milligram per 100 milliliter. So if you convert it into the gram, so it will become 0.65 gram. Okay, here 0.65. So the answer here is 14. Okay, so 14 liter is the extracellular fluid volume in a volunteer in whom the mannitol is injected. So the answer here is A, 14 liter. The next question is Gibbs-Donan equilibrium is mainly due to. This one is simple as well as straightforward question. Gibbs-Donan equilibrium is actually due to intracellular protein what Gibbs-Donan equilibrium actually says that the ion's permeability of one ion across the membrane becomes not diffusible, then other ion which are permeable which diffusion also affected in a predictable way. So the answer here is intracellular proteins. The next question is which of these hormones have intracellular receptors? Let us look at the options. Thyroxine, absolutely yes, because thyroxine have nuclear receptors, which are actually intracellular receptors. Let us look at the other options. Epinephrine, glucagon, and parathormone. These are all the cell surface receptor on which these all hormones act. Okay, so these all don't have intracellular receptors. The next question is intercellular communication in eukaryotes is by. This is a factual question, simple, straightforward answer. The answer is exosome. Intercellular communication is done by exosome in eukaryotes. The next question is in skeletal muscle, dihydropyridine and ryanodine receptors are coupled by. This is also straightforward and simple question. The answer is mechanically. Okay, so they're coupled by mechanically. The answer is D. The next question is, in negative feedback, feedback gain of infinity is seen in which of the following? So let us look at the options. Blood volume control in kidney. This one is completely true because blood volume control by kidney is actually negative feedback mechanism, and that will shows feedback gain of infinity. Okay. Temperature control in hypothalamus is actually feed forward control mechanism, and blood control by baroreceptor is actually negative feedback mechanism, but it does not show feedback gain of infinity. There is a actually limitation of that feedback, and infinite gain is not possible. That will not be the possible answer because blood volume control by kidney is the feedback gain of infinity in negative feedback. So the answer is A. The next question is, the image below shows simple muscle twitch along with the time trace recorded in a frog gastrocnemius muscle. Calculate the maximum titannizing frequency. The time tracer was made with a 100 Hz tuning fork. So they are showing that you have to calculate the maximum titannizing frequency. Okay. So actually 100 Hz tuning fork is there. We have to calculate maximum titannizing frequency. So titannizing frequency is actually 1 upon contraction period. So it is actually 1 upon contraction period is calculated by the starting of contraction to the maximum point of contraction. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Total 5 waves are there. So 5 millisecond because this is actually the millisecond unit time. So it will become 100 by 5 per second. So it is actually 20 per second. So the answer here is D, 20 per second. The next question is, least frequency of slow waves is seen in. Let us look at the frequency of basic electrical rhythm of different parts of the gut. So basic electrical rhythm of stomach is 4 per minute. Duodenum is actually 12 per minute. Distal ileum is actually 8 per minute. Cecum is actually 2 per minute. And sigmoid colon is actually 6 per minute. Let us repeat this once again. Stomach 4 per minute, duodenum 12 per minute, distal ileum 8 per minute, cecum 2 per minute, and sigmoid colon 6 per minute. So among these, the least frequency of slow wave is seen in cecum and then stomach. So let us look at the options. Duodenum, no. Ileum, no. Jejunum, no. Stomach, yes. Among these, the least frequency of slow wave is seen in stomach, that is 4 per minute. The next question is, macula densa is formed by which part of the nephron? So macula densa is formed by specialized tubular epithelial cells of distal collecting duct. Okay, so the answer here is B. As filtrate flows through proximal convoluted tubule, the concentration of all of the following decreases except. Let us look at the options. Amino acid, yes. Glucose, yes. Chloride, no. When filtrate flows through proximal convoluted tubule, the concentration of chloride ion increases because sodium reabsorption happens in proximal convoluted tubule. In bicarbonate, yes, it also decreases. So the answer here is chloride, because chloride concentration is actually increases because of sodium reabsorption through the proximal convoluted tubule. Other all concentration are decreases. The next question is, this is the graph depicting the filtrability of dextran through the kidney, one representing complete filtration and zero representing no filtration. Choose the substance A, B, C respectively. So, glomerular basement membrane is actually negative charged. Substances has negative charge are the ones which are less filterable. Okay. So this is most filterable. So this is polycationic. This one is middle. So this one is neutral. This one is polyanionic because these are least filterable among the graph. So the answer here is A, B, and C are polycationic, neutral, and polyanionic respectively. Calculate the respiratory quotient in a patient with 50 kilogram body weight if the CO2 exhaled is 200 milliliter per minute and O2 consumed is 250 milliliter per minute. Okay. So CO2 exhaled upon O2 consumed is actually the formula of respiratory quotient. Okay. So it is actually 200 upon 250. So this will become 0.8. So the answer here is A, 0.8. Which of the following types of amino acids are present in the transmembranous part of the membrane receptor? This one is again factual question, straightforward question. The answer is hydrophobic amino acids are present in the transmembranous part of membrane receptor. So the answer here is B, hydrophobic. The next question is, which of the following is not a cause of secondary hyperparathyroidism? Let us look at the options. Parathyroid adenoma, it is a cause of primary hyperparathyroidism. Lithium intake, yes, it is the cause of secondary hyperparathyroidism. Vitamin D deficiency, yes, it is the cause of secondary hyperparathyroidism. Chronic kidney disease, yes, it is the cause of secondary hyperparathyroidism. So the answer here is A, parathyroid adenoma, which is the cause of primary hyperparathyroidism, not the secondary hyperparathyroidism. The next question is, which of the following events occur immediately when a person changes his or her posture from supine to standing? So let us look at what happens when a person changes his posture from supine to standing. Supine to standing posture change will lead to pooling of blood in legs due to gravity. This will lead to reduction of venous return and reduction of cardiac output. So this reduction of cardiac output lead to decreased firing from baroreceptors. Okay, so the answer here is A, decrease in firing from baroreceptor. So this is the effect of changing of posture from supine to standing. Let us move on to the next question. Which of the following statements is true about skeletal muscle contraction? So let us look at the statements first. Extracellular calcium is not important for contraction. This one is wrong statement because extracellular calcium is actually very important for contraction. Okay, so this is wrong statement. Calcium is released from mitochondria. This one is wrong statement because calcium actually releases from sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay. Next statement is calcium is released from sarcoplasmic reticulum. Absolutely true. The next statement is voltage gated calcium channels on sarcolemma have no role in excitation contraction coupling. This one is again wrong because voltage gated calcium channels on sarcolemma is actually responsible for excitation contraction coupling. So the answer here is 3 only, B. The next question is which of the following statements are correct regarding mechanisms of depolarization, repolarization and hyperpolarization in a skeletal muscle action potential. So depolarization is actually due to voltage gated sodium channel. Repolarization is actually due to voltage gated potassium channel. Okay. These both are due to influx. Depolarization is due to sodium channel influx voltage gated and repolarization is due to potassium channel efflux voltage gated. Okay. So depolarization is due to influx of sodium through voltage gated channels. This one is true. Then next statement is depolarization is due to sodium influx through ligand gated channels. This one is wrong. The third statement is repolarization due to efflux of potassium through a voltage gated channel. This one is true. The next statement is repolarization due to efflux of potassium through a ligand gated channel. This one is false. And the last statement is hyperpolarization is due to efflux of potassium. This one is true. So the statements 1, 3 and 5 are correct. So the answer here is B. The next question is arrange the following events in sequence in which they occur after P wave in ECG. So let us look at the described events. So the first event happens is A wave in jugular venous pressure. This one is first event. Then first hard sound occurs. So this one is second event. Rapid filling of ventricles and T wave in ECG. So T wave in ECG happens first and that it will lead to rapid filling of ventricles. So this sequence is actually 1, 2, 4 and 3. This is the sequence of these statements. Okay, so the answer here is B, 1, 2, 4 and 3 is the sequence. The next question is, which of the following increases in COPD? So let us look at the capacities and volumes. Functional residual capacity, yes, it increases in COPD. Total lung capacity, yes, it increases in COPD. Vital capacity, it remains unchanged in COPD, as well as FeV1 upon FVC ratio becomes unchanged. In COPD, there is no change. So the answer here is 1 and 2. These both are increases in COPD, that is functional residual capacity as well as total lung capacity. So with this, we complete our recall session. So thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.